Lee. How are you? Hi, Lee.
Good.
Hello. Okay, awesome. I will start just an introduction and then we'll get into the questions, okay?
Sure.
Okay. So, hi, everyone. This is your favorite friend, Jay or Jaylan Salah, as you formerly know her, film critic at Geek Vibes Nation and In Session Film. Today, I have the pleasure of interviewing director Lee Tamahori about The Convert, an epic historical film meditating on violence, redemption, self-discovery, but also a great insight into the Maori culture. Lee, I'm so happy to talk to you.
Yeah, likewise.
Okay, so what I want to ask you is I read that at first you weren't so excited about this story. You didn't really want to tell it in a film. So what got you into it? What made you want to
But,
tell this film, tell this story?
well, as the world knows, I guess, Māori culture, Māori themselves, the indigenous people of this country, were suppressed by colonialism, and it's a familiar story. I've made films about the results of colonialism, like Once for Warriors, etc. And a lot of people have made similar films about Māori displacement through the course of colonialism. I was interested in dealing with a time when Māori were dominant in their world and outnumbered the European settlers by 3,000 to 1 or something. It was just so they were the dominant culture. But at the same time, I wanted to show that there's really not much difference between the cultures, that they're men and women are the same. No matter where you go, they're capable of great love and respect, as well as capable of great deception and venality. I didn't want to sugarcoat the Māori side of things, because when Europeans arrived here in New Zealand, the internecine warfare between Māori tribal structures was legion. There was uh, lots of conflict, lots of conquest, and the eating of human flesh and stuff, which we avoided in this film because we didn't want to go too far. But there's a lot of um, stuff that I wanted to do without. I didn't want to do the noble savage story. I didn't want to do the white savior story, but I wanted to mix up a lot of historical events and turn them into a fiction, which would give people an insight into a period we know very little about, because it's murky and draped in mystery. There's no photographs, for example. There's only written diaries of lay preachers and ministers. And of course, then there's the oral tradition storytelling of the Māori themselves, which is an oral history. They didn't have a written language.
Yeah, of course. Okay, so what I love is that really the film doesn't veer into white savior trope and it doesn't veer into the noble savage trope because every indigenous character, every Maori character, every part of the Maori tribes had a backstory that maybe we as viewers didn't see. How hard was it to work on the backstories for the characters?
Well, I had a lot of good advisors around me. We decided that we had to, in the writing of the screenplay, we were creating fictional family structures, but you need, like all Māori, tapu, iwi tribals structures, you need to have a whakapapa, meaning your lineage, where you come from, where you stand, and who your ancestors were. The basic feeling is, as in most indigenous cultures, we only stand here on this ground because of those that have come before us. So we had to write up, create a backstory, a whakapapa, if you will, which is never talked about in the film. But all the Māori actors knew that whakapapa, so they understood what was going on and who they were representing when they were shooting. And it's really the story of a tribal split, which is very common in New Zealand. That many hundreds of years ago, there's a tribal split because of a woman, two brothers, Someone wants to be a rangatira or chief, wants to take it by force. The family structure splits. They go off in two different directions, grow their family structures bigger, then they go into conflict with each other. Hello, it's Game of Thrones again.
Exactly. Oh my gosh, this is great. Okay, so when you have a talent like Guy Pearce, whom I'm a huge fan of, and he's done a lot of things, and he's kind of a chameleon for me because he's done a lot of roles, but he's also very juicy. You can sink your teeth into him and bring something different out of him. How was it dealing with him and bringing out, like Monroe, who's a very subtle character, kind of like grounded, but also there is a lot of internal conflict in that.
No, it was great. I've always wanted to work with Guy, and we finally got the chance to do it. And he's interested in who the character is and what he represents. I said, look, the guy believes in God, but only just. He's not a religious zealot. He's more of a humanist, hiding out in a minister's robes. So he's running as far away in the world as he can, away from his terrors, but he finds he can never really escape them. So once Guy understood who that character was, you're right, he's a chameleon. He just plays it exactly the way and I love his understated performance. It's really, he never gets really overly upset except towards the end in the battle. But no, he's a brilliant actor, and I love working with him. We had a great time, one of the best times I've ever had on a film set.
And also the Maori cast was just wonderful, especially, like Nagati Melbourne, who played, like the titular female character of the film. How did you find her? How did you find your female protagonist, this warrior, this wonderful woman?
Well, I had to construct her, really. When I constructed her as a character with my writers, I said, look, I don't want to impose any 20th or 21st century feminist tropes onto this woman. It's 1830 and she's of her time. So we went deep into the research of were women fighting with men in battles in that time. The answer was yes. Not in great numbers, but indeed they did, because you needed to keep the numbers up to fight. So women were fighting. So the second thing was to make sure that if she was going to be capable of combat, that it not be Kill Bill type of combat, or kung fu or anything like that. It had to be accurate and authentic. What could she do? What could she achieve? For example, she learns how to fire a musket properly, but she can't hold it it's a very heavy weapon. And to stand and hold it without resting it on something gives you more accuracy. So you'll find it, you'll see that wherever she uses a musket in the film, she rests it on a branch or a structure in order to. So we just went into every aspect of her character. She's capable of great love, great aroha, as we say, as well as she could be quite a bitch if she wanted to be. But she was always the daughter of her father. And the two of them were plotting away there because they're trying to save their village, their hapu, their iwi, and they'll do anything to do so. But in retrospect, if you look at it, it's a story of respect between Monroe and Rangimai. And it's a story of great love, but not a sexual love. It's a platonic love and respect. But by the end, it's just done. You get the story by the end of the film. The journey they've been on is complete, almost as equals.
Definitely. And this is, I think, what is great about it. Lee, I just had so much fun talking to you. Thank you very much for opening your heart to me and talking to you about this magical film. The Convert is a great film. Thank you so much for your kindness and openness.
You're welcome. Pleasure.